Hello and welcome to episode 6 of What's Good with your host Kinte. I'm joined by Shannon. She's sitting in with me today. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. This is episode 6 of What's Good, and we have a special guest today. This guy goes by Mike Truth and also Boogie. What's up, man?
Hey, what's good? What's good? How you
Put
doing?
me down.
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Now you let's talk about some of your origin story, right? Currently, we know you are in like the Toronto area, right?
Yes, I am. Toronto,
Yes.
Ontario.
Now, where are you
Well, I
from?
mean,
Mhm.
actually, there's so Brampton, because but to the world it's Toronto, but I'm in a part of the GTA called Brampton.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like an Atlanta, College Park slash Atlanta type of situation.
Oh, really? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know it was that cool over
yeah.
there. All right. So now, where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm born in Ghana, West Africa, Ghana.
Hmm.
Oh, and I'm raised in New York City, in the Bronx, and I moved around a lot, like from the Bronx and then Montreal, and then after that, I stayed in Atlanta, New Brunswick, like all over North.
Okay. So, where'd you go to high school?
Mm-hmm. In Clinton, Dewey Clinton, in the Bronx, New York.
Oh, okay. All right. So, how much do you consider
Mm-hmm.
New York part of who you are?
A lot. Like I became a man, basically. I became a man in New York City. So basically, by the time I reached 18, like my mannerisms and just my thinking patterns was very much New York. And then, but like, I'm like a hybrid of everything, though, because growing up, you had basically so you're growing up in the United States, but the household is very like African, like our mannerisms and like everything was very much like African, like Ghanaian, very much. So it was like a two different worlds. And then during my summer times, I would just go to Montreal to learn French. So it was like another set of experience. So but I still always like I used to consider myself like New Yorker a lot until I think recently I guess I'm repping Toronto. So I'm
Okay.
Toronto.
Now you speak several different languages, right? What
Yes, I
languages do you
do. I
speak?
do. I do. I speak so from Ghana I speak Ga, Fanti, and Tree, and then I speak Spanish, English, and then
Okay,
French.
all right. Hey, so you know what? You the guy to hire if I got to go on the world round the world trip. So you got me covered in most of my bases.
Mm.
So that's pretty dope. So when you get mad though, what language do you pop off in mostly?
You know what's funny? It depends on who I'm around, and that's the funniest thing. So like a lot of my crew. So ironically, a lot of the people that I show with, they're also like multilinguals. So my best friend, he speaks four languages, and it's the weirdest thing. We always speak French when we're chilling with each other, and when let's say I'm around him or like other people that speak French, I will cuss in French. But then if I'm around English speaking people, it's just English comes out. It's the
Do you
weirdest thing.
ever drop a little French when you want to impress the ladies? You know.
When I was younger, I used to do that though. Like I mean, I still got friends who do that to this day. But when I was younger, like I come on now, like you speak French and then it's like so like depending on where I'm at. So like a lot of it's like my female friends in New York, like because Spanish is like very common, so they don't really care. But I would je parle français tout ça, and then I just change the langue, so I'll change languages, start speaking French, and hey whatever. And then over here, it's like a lot of people they speak French, so I just basically changed it up in Spanish, and hey, boom.
Hey man, I
So
use it. I would
yeah.
use it too though. Every
Mm.
you got to use every tool in your toolbox sometime.
Hey, bro, you got to use
Mm-hmm.
everything you got, bro.
All right. So now you said now you grew up in the Bronx as well. So now that's the birthplace of hip
Hmm.
hop. So was that where you first fell in
Hmm.
love with hip hop music?
You know what? I would say, like I would like to think so, but like I was mentioning, so when I was growing up, I grew up very much like my mindset was like a West African Ghanaian kid. However, though, when I would go to school, then obviously I had Hot 97 and like Power 105 and everything. So it was like I would still be submerged in American culture, but there was like this, like I was very, I don't know how to explain this, but I wasn't as connected to hip hop as I am now, even though I grew up in the Bronx. Like it was much more so like I'm African and I'm watching like Americans live out what they do type of thing. That was like my experience. And then growing up, I embodied more the American
okay.
side.
All right. All right.
Mhm.
So now, we come most people in this community, we come to know you because you were one of the co-hosts of the Elephant Room, with the one and only LA
Shout out
Wade.
LA.
And one thing that I always appreciated about you was that you were never afraid to speak your mind when it came to political, giving political commentary, whatever what side it fell on. And just talk about like where did that come from? That being political and really having the courage to speak on different political things.
Like that's a good question because I remember like growing up, I was very quiet, reserved, and like observant. I was very observant, and I believe it's like so. My experience in New York as well. So this is like I guess the paradox, or like which is Michael. It's like growing up with like a West African mindset, but when I would go to school, I would basically like hang around like a lot of kids that were like really involved in the street. So I hung around with a lot of kids that are in gangs, and there was a lot of basically, how can I say this? Like there was a lot of activities that didn't really make me fear life so much because I kind of seen a lot of drastic happening, like people getting shot, stabbed right in front of my eyes, and like being in those situations. And so there was like a certain like fearlessness that I noticed that like I had that had developed subconsciously, and I only noticed that when I moved to Canada, when I was like, "Bitch, the fuck, like I grew up in New York, like fuck it, like blah blah," and then so it's like that always was there. And when I moved here to Canada, that's when like my black experience really like it was really something where I noticed because like it wasn't what do you call it? It wasn't something that I would notice while I'm in the Bronx, but it's the part of Canada that I had moved in, that I had moved back into. So during my summer times, I'll be in Montreal, like in an immigration, like in a place where like a lot of immigrants and whatnot. So it was cool. But when I moved it by myself to the capital, which is Ottawa, for school, that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm like the only black person here, and there's certain experiences that a lot of people like in the capital they would take it, but I was like, fuck, like why you guys letting these people talk to y'all like that? I was like so it just grew and developed over time.
That's very interesting. Let's talk about that because, being on the East Coast, being in New York, there's a certain kind of mindset that a lot of black people have, and then black people who may be in Toronto, I don't know how much different it is. So kind of give us an idea what the black community is like in comparison to like a New York.
I think that black folk or melanated folks, if I should say, here in Canada, they live a very suppressed life. Like, because I feel like there's a lot going on inside that they would probably like to express, but it's like and I think things are kind of changing now, but like before, like they wouldn't be able to kind of fully express what it is because like the system here is a very covert system where there's a lot of discrimination, a lot of like like racism, but it's well hidden. While as in the United States, it tends to be very blatant. So it's like like you find a lot more like Americans who are expressive, while as Canadians they tend to suppress a lot of things. There's very few people that you find that express themselves.
They often talk about Canadians being so nice and polite and all of that kind of stuff. And we've met, especially in this platform and being in social media, we met a lot of Canadians who definitely didn't destroy that myth. But do you find that, as being, how long have you been in Canada now?
Oh, it's like an intertwineship. Like so, but living here permanently since 2012.
Oh, okay. So that's a good,
now.
that's a good. So how do you?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you judge the people? I mean, the non-melanated and melanated. Is it as nice as we think it is? Are the people just they seem so chipper and with their maple syrup and their and their A's
Yeah.
and
Yo, honestly, that and like it's the most interesting experience because like when you say nice, right? Nice is it's it's almost like a construct in a sense. Even nice, like nice itself is it's a construct. Like, cause I mean, people like I find people in the United States. I like upfront people, and so people in the United States, Caucasian or not, like they will, hey, hi, how you doing? They're expressive like that. And over here, like I think people are polite because it's just a nice thing to do, but still you can kind of feel a certain energy. Whereas to like I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if it feels almost forced at times, but there are some people, like, a lot of nice people here too. I don't know.
Well,
It's like it's a
now
fine line.
there's
Yeah,
two
fine
things we
line.
always want to know about when it comes to a place, especially us guys. Is what are the women like and what are the food what is the cuisine like? So you can take whatever one you want to do first. So as someone who transplanted there,
Okay.
what is it like the women there and what is the cuisine like there?
Okay, so I'll save like the best for last. So I'm gonna talk about food first. Um, the food is good. Like like especially in Toronto, there's like a variety of things. You have different ethnicities. Like here, like it's a melting pot of different cultures. So whatever like you're into, you can find over here. Like so, there's like amazing cuisine. Like some of the best restaurants here in Toronto, and then depending like where you are, food's pretty good. Food is good. It's just like New York City. Like you can find like anything you want, any cuisine you want. I mean, there's some restaurants that you may have in the United States that you don't have here in Canada, and I think there's one or two they may have here that you don't
Is
have
it
in the United
just like
States.
New
So
York?
like the food is good. Yeah, very
I
similar.
hear that, yeah.
Very similar to New York City. Like when I moved there, like people used to basically call Toronto like the little New York because even downtown it resembles Times Square and stuff like that. So it's like that's that. That's food. But now onto the women. Yes, not honestly, like Toronto, Canada has some of the most beautiful like women. Like honestly, like hands down. Like, I think Toronto, Canada has like a lot. Come on, like I mean, you guys seen bitches like my friend like
Right.
CC, if you guys remember. Like, there's like a lot of beautiful women here, and like they're very So to kind of go back to when you're talking about people being polite and whatnot, because the system has I guess made people want to live up to that reputation of being polite and nice. I find that basically people here are they are approachable if you're not
Okay.
from here. They're very approachable if you're not from here. But if you're from Toronto, then yeah, a lot of people like sometimes like there's a word here called stush. Like they can come off as
Okay.
stush,
I never heard
meaning
that
stuck
one.
up.
No, that's new to me. Now
Mm-hmm.
are there
Mm-hmm.
what is like something that's authentically Canadian as far as cuisine? Because I always hear about they have good like Jamaican food or whatever. Do they? What's like their authentic? What's authentically Canadian that is pretty good or not?
I love poutine. Like I actually like poutine. Poutine is basically it's fries with curd cheese and gravy sauce. And there's some places where like you can add chicken or like whatever it is that they
Oh,
put on top. It's pretty good. So that's like really, yeah, that's really Canadian. And then because there's like a huge influx of like immigrants over here and stuff, you have I guess you could say basically like what you call it. Well, I don't want to say jerk chicken. That's like a Caribbean dish and things like that. But you have different cuisines, but innately Canadian poutine, maple syrup. Like yeah,
maple
syrup.
syrup.
Yeah.
That's what I think of, right? When you think of Canada, right? You think
Yeah.
of maple syrup, hockey,
I
Wayne
want to
Gretzky,
know
Wayne
the Toronto
Gretzky.
weather.
and the whole cast of Saturday Night Live. And there you go. So that's like my. And then I don't know if you guys remember. Oh my God, what's his name? Those Jen. If Jen is here, she can help me out. That old SCTV bit with the two Canadian guys, the brothers, the drink the beer. That was like my kind of first Canadian. I can't believe I can't think of it right now. So Bob and Doug McKenzie. There you go. Yeah. So yeah. So see that's old school.
Yeah,
so that's
I'm not.
that's some old school stuff. But
I think
funnel cakes.
What about them?
Oh, okay.
Oh yes, funnel cakes. But see, that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. There's so much here that is like there's so many different cultures here that you could kind of get lost. I mean, yeah, and actually, yeah, like there's this thing called beaver tails. So in Toronto, in this area, there's a spot called Canada's Wonderland, and it's almost like a Six Flags of sort. And over there, they got things like funnel cake, beaver tails, and them type of food. So
yeah,
and those are very
thanks, guys.
I know, of course, Canadian bacon.
Well, you got to come up here. Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, at least I think about it when I think of it. So there you go. Coconut cream pie from Oh yeah, and what's that? Tim Hortons, right? Yeah, Tim Hortons.
Yes, Timmy's. Yes.
I've never been.
Timmy's.
I just know that it's a Canadian thing, right? And I think they got some in like Michigan, maybe. Right.
Yeah, and like Buffalo and like
it's kind of like y'all Piggly Wiggly, I guess.
Like, well, I guess like the closest comparison back then would have been Dunkin' Donuts.
All right. So let's talk about hip hop, and you know, one of the things that you know, I grew up on hip hop. A lot of us have, and I know you. You know, I know you. This is gonna be education for Shannon because
I grew up on hip hop. Get it out.
Really, who'd you like? Who'd you like, Shannon, growing up?
Who did I like growing up? Well, everybody.
Okay. All right, there you go.
You know, the argument with you about who's the best.
No, I'm not gonna do that. So, like, first of all, who were some of your hip hop influences?
KRS-One, Tupac,
Big L,
Big Pun.
Okay.
Andre 3000, Nas, Jay-Z.
Yeah, a lot of yours are deceased. Right.
Yeah, I know.
Big L, Biggie, and Tupac, they're not with us no more, unfortunately.
And they some of the best.
Yeah, they. Oh my God, those are some of the greatest. So, are you a lyrics guy or a beat guy? Okay, cool. That's me too. I'm old school when it comes to that. It's all about the lyrics with me. So, I think that KRS-One is definitely on the Mount Rushmore, and I would say that, and he's the second most quoted rapper of all time, next to Rakim. Rakim's the most quoted rapper of all time. So, yeah. So I'm a huge fan, obviously. So, at what age did you want to start rapping?
Man, so mine was like, honestly, my story is like the weirdest thing ever. Yo. So I was dating somebody before, and she was a singer, and we had moved to Atlanta, and I used to write and stuff. Which is like for her, I used to write, and I started writing poetry, and I would have like a lot of things written, but never like I never really wanted to perform it. Just like write. And it was actually when we moved here to Canada, like when we moved back, like me and her, that I basically started like thinking about performing and rapping and like honing my skills. And yeah, so I'm a late bloomer of short. I wasn't like young kids that always wanted to.
How would you describe your style?
And, oh my gosh, so basically like we are doing our own brand, and we actually are naming like our own genres. We're calling it fra music because our style is a bit different. We mix all four languages. So we basically rap in four languages, like on the same tracks and same beats. So it's something that like it's very very like different, very unique because like not too many people have heard anything like what me and my crew we do. It's a mixture of basically like street. Um, we touch on like some political things, but it's much more like party club. Like it's a good mixture. Like 'cause we touch on different.
It's
things,
really smart
we touch different
because
cultures.
the African as well as the European,
Mm-hmm.
specifically out of the UK,
Mm-hmm.
is blowing up as far as hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they always had a presence, but
Mm-hmm.
it's actually gone up. And to be able to rap in different languages and stuff, it
Mm-hmm.
makes your music much more global. I remember years ago, they weren't a rap group, but there was a group out of Africa called the Nubians, and they sang in French. And I remember the story of
Yes.
they came out to America for the first time, and they thought they had to change their music to English, and then they started singing in English, and they got booed at the Apollo. And then the audience told them, no,
Damn.
we want the French
They got
version,
that.
even though none of them
Room.
knew French, but that's how they come to love their music. So it showed that you can convey a feeling. You don't necessarily need to know what the lyrics mean.
Absolutely.
But if you ever knew what those lyrics are that they were singing about, it was so powerful that it translated in a way, in your vibes that they gave off. It's really a beautiful thing. So have you guys are kind of tapping into that kind of world hip hop market?
And that's so true. Like so, what you're saying is so true. So the genre basically that you're talking about is called Afrobeats. So Afrobeats is basically like it's like the next thing. Like I mean, it's the now thing. Like everywhere you go. So like I mean, like people now hearing the video. If I tell you, said I love you, and all them all them tracks. But it's like a whole what you call it. Like it's like a whole wave like that's coming in. Like here in Toronto, we're actually in Toronto at the right time because there's so many different artists here that are actually multilingual as well, and they rap, they sing, and all of that. So we're kind of creating like a new sound here, like from Toronto, and it's just honestly, it's just it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. It's a global sound,
and you don't really need
Toronto.
to know what they're saying, but it conveys though. It's
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's the energy behind it, and it's the energy. Like honestly, because like even now it's like so during these times what we decided to do is like perform on other people's lives and things like that, and we have like a few pieces that me and my boy we do together, and on it so we have the four languages like going like back to back, and then we do a poetry piece, and people like so we go from Spanish, Portuguese, so he speaks Portuguese, French, and then English, and people be going crazy like, yo, I don't know what y'all said, but the energy is like mad.
That's great. That's great. Let's talk about live performing because there's a lot of people that are great in the booth. They can go in the studio, right? They can go in the studio and with the
Studio
help
rappers
of a great engineer and Jesus,
And Jesus.
But when you on stage though, Jesus said, "Let me see what you got."
It's a different story.
So what is it like for you performing in front of people? And
Ooh. Honestly, like I love it because like for us as well, like our life for performances, like what basically we do because with different people. For me personally, like I'm a conceptual type of thinker, so every show there's a concept to it. It's like we're telling a story. It's not just like we're showing up, grabbing the mic, and just performing. So it's like there's like almost like a intro, and then like a middle, and then the ending, and like it's a whole story that we're telling in every performance. So it's high energy, like just different ranges, like like different waves. And so it's like I mean that's what we bring. And for myself, like I live for it. Like I turn into like a different person completely. I find whenever I grab the mic and I'm in front of an audience, like it's a blessing to be able to kind of control an audience and like ask people to do certain things and they do it back and
That's dope,
feel the
man.
energy.
Can
It's
you
amazing.
can you tell what kind of audience you have
Mm.
before you go on, or like how soon into your performance were you okay? I got me a great audience that really feeling it.
Mm. Mm. Um, Honestly, so certain times when we get the gigs and stuff, we kind of have a feel, but whenever we don't, like we just trust in like in our instincts as to okay, you know what, like this is an idea, a concept that'll be dope. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if you guys ever seen us like on Instagram or not. So like whenever like one of our trademarks, we always start with like our African scarves covered, because like that's like the beginning of a story, because we take people like on a story with us. So already like visually, it doesn't matter who you are, like it always commands like attention to the stage, like who are these guys, like like what's going on, and from there, so like you've kind of captured the audience's like attention already, and then it's up to us to take them on a ride musically and sonically and just different tones to make sure that they engage. So we kind of go into shows expecting people
That's
to
dope,
engage.
man.
Like
Yeah, I definitely
yeah.
checked you guys out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so cool what you guys are doing, man. And I'm so happy, man. And of course, I'm gonna. I think I messed with you the other day about when we get that EP or that LP. So looking
Mm.
forward to that, because we definitely want to show
Yeah.
love by supporting everybody in our group. You know, you're
Absolutely.
part of our group, so we
Mm-hmm.
want to definitely support you and what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing. So let us know when you
Mm-hmm.
have it. Um, so but I
Absolutely.
won't mess with you about that. But so like, how do you get your where do your ideas come from? Are you someone who minds from your own life? You know, will we get
Mm-hmm.
stories of your exes or your homies, or like where do you get most of your material from?
Mm. Everything, man. It's like so any and everything. So because life is inspirational, bro. Like basically like we're every moment that we're alive, it's a blessing. So everything just inspires. So in 2014, this is like kind of basically like take a step back. That's when me and my ex like we broke up, and that was like a long relationship, was like very very hard on me. And the day that we broke up is the day that I reconnected with my brothers, that we the ones I do music with, and it was almost like a passing of guard. So one thing was ending and like a new thing was starting, and it was so cool. So we would chill, just do little freestyles here and there, and so I would kind of vibe off of them and vice versa. And then the following year,
Mm.
like one of them, he passed away. Like
Mm.
he took his life, and so that when that happened, that was like a very it shocked me. It's a different zone. And so before, it's like when I like I'll be very wordy and like playful with the words and whatnot. You can just give me any word and I can freestyle whatever. And when that situation occurred, it put my mind into a different zone completely. And so I went through this whole phase of like battling depression or whatnot. And so like so some of the stuff that I would write then would basically kind of it would be from that zone of like being down. But now I find myself in like a zone where I've experienced that, and obviously like you still have your battles here and there, but there's I see so much more again. Where like right now I'm watching YouTube, I can even like bust a freestyle or whatever. And I mean it's just really from any and everything from different experiences.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's endless.
you know, it's funny because life
Mm-hmm.
keeps giving you more to talk about, right? So, you know, and then you evolve as well. So, like the
Mm-hmm.
person I was when I was 15, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
is not the person I am now. So you can see that in people's work, whether they're an
Mm-hmm.
artist, like a visual artist or a writer or whatever. Like you can see the growth. How would you say the growth of your content has been like over these last 5 years?
Mm. Like I think it shows in my ability to tap into different zones of myself and just being more confident and being able to bring forth ideas that like we're in here. And I think in being able to be more vocal and more assertive about what it is that like I want to do as an artist is really helping us kind of mold our sound and also just our presentation in total. So like I've grown in just being able to be more
And
confident.
I'm gonna ask
My
this
art.
question. I want Shannon to answer this one too. Is sometimes you create stuff, right? Whatever it is, and it feels good to you, but sometimes the village don't like it. So how do you deal with that as a creative person? Like, where you feel like this is strong stuff, I want to put this in there, but it just seems like the community or the listening people are just not feeling it. How do you deal with that? Both of you guys, whoever wants to go
Shannon
first.
or me? I've been talking
What's
a
the
lot
question?
lately.
So how do you deal with something that you love, you think is great, but you can tell that the people ain't feeling it? Do you keep reworking it? Do you just chug it, or do you say
My
forget
answer is real simple. I don't care. I write what I feel. I write what ministers to my spirit, and I write from my heart, and it's an overflow of what's already in my heart, whether it's anger or frustration or longing for love. And Stephanie's absolutely right. It's personal, but it's also relatable. I don't need everybody to relate to my art. I need someone to relate to my art. And as long as I inspire or reach one person, then my job is done. And if somebody don't like it, go patronize somebody else. I had to clean it up real quick. I was like, let me be wholesome today. It's Tuesday.
Right? No, honestly, I fully I agree with that, and because I find that in discovering myself, I basically know that yes, my voice belongs as well, and like my thoughts and emotions, they come from me, and they have to come out, and this is a big world. Somebody's going to relate to something, but like the important thing is I'm able to get this out of me and just burst something, and like somebody's gonna like it. If nobody likes it, at least it's a release. It came out, and it feels good.
And
So
I also have a
that's
question
my
too for
my
both of
approach.
you guys, plus the audience. I want them to chime in as well. Is when you're creating whatever it is, whether it's a movie, in my case, like a screenplay, or you're writing some poetry or some music, and we all have like, okay, so if something, let's say it's a shared experience, like say it's like me and Shannon, right? Something that happened between us. And I feel like my process of getting through it is to write something about it. Well, you know, there might be conflict because maybe she doesn't want that out there like that. So how do you deal with it when you want to write or create something that has to do with other people, but it may not, you want to do it from your point of view, but they may not be wanting that, they may not want that out there like that. So is that something to even think about, or what? Like, go ahead, Shannon.
I just recently did this. Sorry, mommy.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
See, back when I originally shared her story, she was okay with it. But now that I have more platform presence, she's like, I don't know if I want the world to know my business. Too late. I've already shared it. They already know. But I write about people all the time. I mean, dismantling daddy dysfunctions and all the men I loved after him. Yeah, they all got that smoke in that book. So. I mean,
were the names changed to protect the guilty?
I didn't say names, but if you know me well enough, you know the seasons in which those stories came about. So, and if not if, I need to stop saying if, when I go on a book tour, if you are in discussion rooms with me, you will have further conversations about things that need to be discussed.
Mm. Oh wow. Wow, hey fellas, you may end up in her book. So if you're gonna date her, you better do it right.
If you have dated me, you were in a book.
I'm correct.
Oh wow. Oh, definitely. Wow. So what about you though? If you have a shared experience with someone, but you want to write, because that's what we want to do, right? We want to get our experiences on paper, or or in a poem, or in a song, or something. Do you give a lot of thought to that, or or how do you navigate that?
No, that's a really good question. So for me, I think like empathetically, I try to basically always see situations from like the other person's side as well, from my side, how I was feeling, and also how they may have been feeling. So I think it's always done in a way where I may probably be like just like doing in the form of an example. So I'm not like very direct with it. Sometimes like, me doing like, okay, so like John had a girl and John whatever, and then okay, like I mean it's just like, and then Susie came along and blah blah blah. Just kind of just like change the name to just really give a scenario where it's like it could be applicable to anybody, but then a lot of people could probably feel like, oh, it's about them. So like it's very covert, subliminal, I guess.
Yeah, it's
like,
it's a fine rope, because there's something that I wanted to write about, and it's something deep, and it affected me deeply, but it also affected someone else very. No, not Shannon. This is a long time ago, and it gave me pause, because by telling my story, I'm telling her story. You know what I mean? And what's up, Carlos? And so it it's something that I tabled, but I do at some point I'm gonna write about it. But this is someone I don't talk to anymore. But I'm sure if when that comes out, that person, if they see it, will definitely know it's about something that happened between us. So and it gave me pause, because it's something that is very personal, but it affected me personally too, and I want to write about it from my point of view. But there's no way to do it without talk about what she went through. So it's something that I've had conversations with other writers about it, and I've had a lot of different things that writers said. I've had some that say, "Man, don't worry about it, forget it. It's your, it's your experience too." Then I've had others that say, "Man, that's not right," or and all of that. So I've always liked to talk to creative people about that, when your experiences are, it's tethered to someone else, So, and sometimes it's not positive for them, So, yeah, go ahead.
My turn again. So I'm going back to the statement that my boo Stephanie said. Art is personal, and from the extension of yourself, your art should flow. If it happens to encapsulate another human being and that shared lived in experience, I mean, if you don't want to be a subject in my art matter, you shouldn't mess with me. You shouldn't entertain me.
My life.
You should climb in my bed, if you will, because I might write about it. And I might make a whole bunch of money off of it. And now you half.
Yeah, like comedians too go through that, because it's like, how do you want to put somebody in your material, right? Because these experiences are gold, as well. So even though they may not be the best thing for somebody else, so it's definitely something that I want to think about. What's up, Askia is in the house. You want to do a quick chat room shout out?
I don't know nobody's name. LA, D, Natasha, Luke, Danny, Robert, Maya, Steph, and Rico. Welcome.
And Carlos is in Facebook, as well as Kedra, and Alan Newman is here as well. So big shout out to those folks. All right. So one thing, the way I got to know you, as most of us in here, was from the Elephant Room and talking about political issues and stuff like that. And I really enjoy you guys and what you guys have to, your points of view. And I really enjoy, what you guys brought to the table. Never mind that person over my shoulder.
What is that?
Yeah, nice.
They can see you.
Yeah, they can see you. And you're being loud. but no, it's all good. So a lot has been going on recently. The 2020 has been crazy from going back. Remember Kobe? I remember to start off the year, and then all the stuff that happened post Kobe, as far as Snoop Dogg and Gail, and then she said the Rapture is next. And also, we have the COVID happening. We also have the murders of George Floyd and Aubrey and I mean Breonna Taylor, and it's just been and then we have the rebellion or the riots or whatever you want to call it as well. And there's so much is going on. One, as a creative person, you want to somehow channel your art to reflect what's going on in the world sometimes. And then also as a creative person, you may want to channel maybe not your art to talk about it, but sometimes to give somebody something else to think about as well. But I want to just kind of talk about like 2020. Just break down 2020 from your point of view, like how you've been coping with it, how your family is, and all of that.
Oh, 220. Like, this has been a wreck. Like, it's been a shit show. Like, from the start till now, it's just been a shit show. So there's been like a lot of people that's passed away in my family. Like right before Kobe, the father of my nieces, like he passed away, which was a big shock to all of us because he was like fairly young. And then obviously and then Kobe, that was another shocker as well. And then basically at the same time too, I was kind of transitioning back into my daytime employment as well. I do finances and stuff. So that was like a new adjustment. And then basically having to deal with everything that with the lockdown, that was crazy. And then recently, basically a lot of the bullshit that's going on in regards to basically us like the attack on melanated folks. Um, that's another craziness. And but like in all of that too, there's it's just been like a very like emotionally this is it's been a lot. There's been like a lot of things that's going on, and I like personally I don't know how I'm processing everything. Like I think I'm reverting it back into survival mode, whereas I kind of basically like I'm probably shutting things down, or maybe I'm dealing with things better. I'm not sure. So I'm in the zone where I'm like, hey, maybe I'm dealing with things better, so I may not be affected, but I am being affected.
Do you feel like creatively you're more activated, or has it dulled maybe some of your creativity with all of these crazy things?
That's a good one.
Huh. In different areas, certain things have taken a blow, like a seat on the back burner. And in some areas, like my basics, because like being creative is like my response to everything. So there's like for example, I've created like different platforms which are meant for healing first. So now I noticed that basically a lot of like my personal work, such as my poetry and like my music itself, I haven't been given it as much time that I like as much as I used to before. Which is like I mean like everything has a season, but that like yeah, it's like it's like a positive and negative thing. Like it just depends on like the perspective. Me as an artist, I have like I mean, my live shows, I have songs and stuff and but as far as new material, there's like a lot going on. Like I don't feel like I have enough time to dedicate to like my new craft. That like because there's a lot that I literally want to basically say, but just having the time to sit down and do it is like I don't have that luxury, which is like crazy. But then on the flip side, I like the solutions that I'm conjuring up for myself, family, and community, and hopefully everybody as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I
Just,
mean,
just in the
I've
space
seen
where
it a lot of different ways. I've
no.
seen people get more activated. Like people before 2020 kind of had a block, and then 2020 unblocked it. You know, with all the stuff that was going on, and I've seen it in reverse too. So it's very interesting how you know these events affects different people, including myself. You know, I think one thing is you're getting a lot of people who are suddenly awakened. You know, like that's a lot. It's like all of a sudden they've taken that blue pill.
Yes,
No, wait, the red pill. My bad.
absolutely.
Blue pill's Viagra. The red pill, and now they're like, oh man, this Matrix is crazy. You know, you know, and it's really interesting to see people see like their eyes get open to a lot of the things that we've been talking about for the longest. Yeah, and a lot of y'all's topics was touching
Yes.
up on things that
Yeah.
are now people want to talk about now.
Yep.
So,
And I mean, sorry to cut you, like, but I think maybe for me, it kind of contributes a bit to my. I don't want to say numbness because it's like I feel like sometimes I'm in a position where it's like, yo, a lot of these shits were going on before, like right now, and yes, they are being filmed now, but it's like I feel like I'm in a place where it's like, to be frank and honest with you, I am not like in the mood to go and like basically like protest like towards nobody. What like I am strictly solution based right now. I don't care to basically like go in front of like the police or the system and ask them to stop treating me however they're treating me. I don't care to ask them or involve them in my healing. What where I am right now is that I want to know, like I want to find like-minded folks who are basically willing to build and just like, yo, let's literally just focus on us, build, and that's all that I really care about. Like it hurts and it breaks my heart everything that's going on, and like I've seen these attacks on our bodies from like for me personally, like especially like back then when I was living in New York, Amadou Diallo's case was something that like I was very much aware of as a young person, and then recently it like along with Trayvon's murder, it was like I had like a spiritual reconnection then, and it kind of guided me all the way to the moment where I'm not I'm not in space basically like yeah I just want to like
you know what's
solution. That's
interesting is
that's really what
there's
I'm
been
right?
protests all over the world. Like in Japan, they said it was in Japan and in Brazil and London, and so that's yeah.
It's become fashionable, bro. So most of like it's like a trend that like I think a lot of people are like they're hopping on, and basically it's a trend for basically like for them to just like, oh, it's cool, hey, look at me, I typed on my keyboard, or I went in the streets and just fucking paraded and yelled. But a lot of people, they don't really understand the root of the pain. They're not really living like the melanated experience. So for them, and I think one time myself and LA, we were at this meeting in one of her school seminars, and there was this Caucasian man. I think LA makes reference to this a lot. He was telling us about how he basically for him, he could go have dinner, turn on his TV, and then basically like he could see a child crying like on the TV. But the minute he turned off the news, he's back in his world and the sanctity of his home and everything. So he's very much removed from it. While as the kid in that TV still living that reality of like bombs and everything like happening to him, that trauma. And I think a lot of people right now, what's going on is that basically like they literally hashtag Black Lives Matter, like black like the whole screen, go and basically like black like march with people, but they still don't they're not connected
Right.
to that pain as much as like the people living it. And so for me, that's what basically for me personally, like I'm like I said, solution based. So like I am all for basically us being together and everything as a like as a global ecosystem. But my thing is like before getting into any relationship personally as an individual, I've learned to like know myself, love myself, and basically like so I could fully be the best me in a relationship. So as a community, like why can't we reconnect with ourselves and know ourselves on a deeper level and like respect ourselves, build systems for ourselves, and and then basically like then interact with others after. But I find that like people are not giving us the time to like properly. I don't want to say digest our pain, but like it's something doesn't feel real for me in like all these trends that's going on. So I just literally just
Yeah,
I don't know, like I'm looking
solutions are very important. I believe protest is supposed to be the jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the end point.
Right.
So
It's not the only thing that can be done either.
Right. So I think when people kind of understand that that it's fine to protest as long as the protest leads to progress. So, right.
Action, like proper action. I mean, like for me, because like, and the thing like and I'm sorry, like this is something that I get really passionate about because these protests and stuff they've been going on for how long now? How many years? That basically like we've been protest like exactly. So like it's insanity for like to keep doing the same things, and I mean don't get me wrong, there is advancements, but there's advancements in like under like the construct where like, you're just given a little piece of the pie and then okay, cool, you're satisfied, and then boom, something else happened, and then like you protest, and then you get a little piece of the pie. Nah, bro, like those times are like they're done. Like we, like literally, we need something else. We can't be out here just marching and basically like just like marching for like with the wrong messages. For me now, I was telling LA, if I'm to do a march, because and this is a march that I'm actually organizing globally, and I'm telling you guys right now it's called a solutions march, meaning that, so for example, if like I'm writing something, I'm gonna write what I do, my skills, what it is I'm looking for, and I'm gonna march, and I want other people to basically like to do the same thing, so that way we reconnect like that, and just build. Because I'm not here like asking nobody like no
I
peace,
know
no
that's
peace. Like
old school.
we've been doing that for a long
Just no
time,
peace.
bro.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. Yeah, it's very. These are some interesting times, and I'm glad that some people are getting their awakening. I call it like a new Christian syndrome. You ever get it where somebody they found Jesus, he wasn't lost, but they found him, and then now all of a sudden they're super hardcore Christian. They said I won't even listen to the Temptations now. That's secular, you know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You never seen that before. So yeah, I call it new Christian syndrome.
Absolutely.
But so it's this newly woke syndrome is going on around here too. But I mean, it's good to a certain degree, and hopefully, eventually, those people will settle into. Okay, but I want to before we say goodbye. Now you're originally from Africa, right? Ghana, right? And for those who've never been to Ghana, myself included, because we did talk about Canada and New York.
Yes.
But what can you tell us about Ghana? And have you been as an adult? And and some maybe things that we don't know about Ghana.
So I'm like
Okay.
part of my goal is to go back and eventually move back to Ghana. And what I do know is basically based on everything that I learned growing up. Like, cause I was born there and I haven't been back since I've been in North America. But I've stayed in touch with all the countries over there, and like I know the mindset in Ghana, and I think Africa is like the next place, like the continent of Africa is the next place for basically melanated folk to consider moving to. Not you have to move, but at least consider it. And I say that because there's so much that's going on there. There's so much opportunity. Like if you basically like for being around people that resembles you, and also like over here how they have white privilege, you have foreigners privilege as well. It's like this it's this thing where you are considered like I guess whatever like you're considered top of the line or some whatever. Like I'm not saying it's the best thing, but as an American, Canadian, or like a outsider, an outsider, when you go there, people will treat you with a respect that you probably have never experienced before. Like the stereotypes that you do see in movies. Hey, you are an African queen, blah blah blah. Like how they basically like court like American women and whatnot. That's very real. And over there, it's like your money has a lot of power. Like you feel at home. It's
Okay, so you
like
speak
for me,
the
Africa is
language
like the place.
fluently, right? What's it? You called it? It's Ga.
I do. Yes, three of them. So
Oh,
you have
okay.
Ga,
Which one do you speak?
Tree, and then we like you
Oh,
have the Fanti as well.
excuse
Would
me.
you listen? He speak all three of those and
All three.
Spanish and French
Yeah.
and English. You need to pay attention.
My bad. My bad.
We must.
So, okay. So, what's the main one? Is Ga? Tree. Oh, okay.
No, Tree. So like Tree is in like the Ashanti region, and Ga is basically so when you go to
Mhm.
Accra and things like that, the capital, the people over there like they speak Ga.
Okay. So, if
But
you
like
know, if you
Tree is
know
like
Tree, you're
the most
pretty
known one
set.
in Ghana. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're good. Yeah, and over there, is like because you're colonized by the British, so they
Oh, okay.
like
So
English
you
is the
good.
official
You
language,
good.
so everybody speaks English in Ghana. But yeah, oh yeah, oh man, yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like Ghana's gonna be like
I was
Ghana
supposed to go in
is already.
August.
I don't know if you guys heard about the year of return, but Ghana, like everybody, exactly. You know what I mean? Like Ghana is the place to be, and like for me, I have a feeling like Senegal is gonna be next, but Africa's a place to be. So like you guys seriously
I'm
think
going to get
about
my
basically
dual
just
citizenship.
look and see
So,
what the opportunities are. And we
so two things that we always care about.
yes, I love hearing that.
Got it. I know you haven't been there in a while, but you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
The
You said
cuisine
Wi-Fi?
and the ladies.
What? Yo, yo, boss. Honestly, yeah, like your mind will get blown away because it's like if you've never actually had like either African food from anywhere in Africa, I would highly recommend it. Like find local places like in your city and you know have a little like Americanized taste of it. But once you're on the continent, and from obviously what I know from my home and everything, it's amazing. African people is amazing,
You
and
say it again
African
for the
women are
people
just
in the back.
beautiful. I
You
come
we had to
on,
give him a shout out since we
beautiful.
did the
Like for real.
Canada, so I had to save
Yes.
it for last for sure. Um, so what can we expect from you? I know you do a thing on Mondays.
The best for last.
So what can we expect from you? Tell us about your thing on Mondays.
Yes. Okay, so on Mondays I have an open mic. It's a bit different. It's called the Dark Room Sessions, and basically what it is, it's a space for people to come and be themselves, their authentic selves. So it's like I used to have it in a real physical place before the lockdown happened, but now it's on IG Live, and the whole thing is that we start off with a meditation from 8 to 8:20, and then to come on, you got to basically like like either shut the lights off and just like basically like have your incense or your candles going, just create a vibe with us, and like spit your piece and whatnot. Like it's on my IG Live, and then if you don't mind, I'll tell you about some like two more of my other platforms. On Wednesdays, I have this thing. It's called Flight 654. We take a flight from the sixth board of the GTA to the 54 countries of
So
Africa. So we tell people about Africa, different countries and things like that. And on Sundays, like this one is very close to my heart. It's called Beyond the 5 Minutes, and that one is where like I bring on different male perspectives, for people to understand about what brothers go through. Because people say men don't speak a lot, or like we suppress a lot of emotions. So it's just a space for people to, first of all, just let brothers vent, talk about whatever, for people to understand,
All
so we can
right,
build
man. All
from
right. And
like my
so
platforms.
if somebody saw you on the street, you want them to call you
whatever they like to call themselves. Well, like they can
dude.
call me Mike,
Now,
Truth, Boogie,
that's my name for him.
Michael. Like
Nobody else.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, hey, hey, down.
All right, I say
For real, for
Boogie.
real.
So,
Just, as long as it's respectful, that's
all
all.
right. So, how can we get you in social media?
Hey. So I'm on Instagram at MICTRUTH, so Mike underscore Truth, and then basically on Facebook that's where you get the Boogie Mkab. So that's different size of me, but it's like another story. But like real important though, like a big plug that I want to do for the next platform. This is solution based. Talking about basically everything we're going through right now. So I started like a new page where I want everybody to
Oh,
tag
okay.
me and send me a list of black owned businesses in their area, and we're actually literally just going to basically just highlight and kind of make us connect and share it. So it's on a
Okay.
page
All
that
right.
I call
I
Tika.
don't know.
It's tree for
Am
our
I
money.
following that? Please, if you
And
send me the link, and I'll make sure everybody else gets it. Thank you, man.
like
Thank you
I'm
so much
launching
for
it.
coming
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah.
I really appreciate it. I'm a big
I
fan
will.
of what you do, man. You're a great brother, and hopefully, when I'm finally up there in Toronto, we can connect. So, or you do your tour, and you come to LA too,
Absolutely.
right? Either or, right? Or both, right?
LA.
So,
Hey, absolutely, bro.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah, for real, absolutely. Whenever you guys are in Canada,
We won't
Shannon,
be
Kinte,
together,
you
but
guys are
y'all come
welcome,
to.
and like we
You
will
know
like treat you
what?
guys to the best time ever.
We're going on a Mars Venus tour,
Hey,
okay? Shannon, you're
yes,
coming
separate.
with me.
Y'all will
Are
So,
have
you
the best
planning this
time.
Mars and Venus tour?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
bringing.
okay. You ain't send no puppy support, but you funding tours. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a bus. We're getting a bus. We're gonna, travel like a rock group. So I'm going to bar with LA when I come to Toronto. All right, that's what's up. All right, Shannon, how can we get you in
Hey,
social
yo,
media
LA,
and all that good stuff?
good time too. For real.
Well, everything is still the same. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Shannon Ford, like the president, hyphen Jefferson, like the president. Oh, you can go to my website, shannonfordjefferson.com. I don't have that listed. But yeah, you can check me out on my own website. Here on Mondays with this big head. Um, and that's about it. I mean, I'm on Facebook on Sundays on live promoting my book. So yeah, that's what I do. What about you? Say, how can we get you going?
You can get me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram. Of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's indyradio.org. Tomorrow night, we'll be back with another Canadian guest, Noje, better known as Bish Funny. And so that'll be really fun to chop it up with her. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. We probably won't be heavy on the Canadian commentary, but we'll be talking about comedy and her origin story and all that good stuff. So that is tomorrow night, right here, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And also Friday, we'll be joined by Carlos Phoenix. So, and we're going to talk some tech and about taking advantage because we're all streamers and podcasters and stuff. And we're going to be talking about how we can take advantage of these times right now, and just different tips and whatnot. So that might be, some of you guys might find that enjoyable, and then plus he's a fun, interesting guy, so we'll chop it up and talk about life as well. So with all that said, you guys, I'll be here for the post show, but you guys have a great rest of your week. God bless you, and peace.
Bye.
Peace. For having